Hi, I'm Jenny. Today I'm going to give you a reading and a review of the Moonology Oracle deck. It's by Yasmin Boland and the artwork is by Nix Rowan. I bought this deck because it's super popular, especially in 2020, which is interesting because when I did the numerology for 2020, it spoke about a renewed interest in the moon. So it makes sense that Moonology was a really big seller. I wanted to first say that it's got a nice waxy feel. The cards aren't too big or too small. The artwork on the back is really nice. And I want to talk first about a couple unconventional ways to use this deck. So the first is learning to cycle with the moon is really powerful, not just for women. It's for anybody, but learning, and observing from new moon to full moon and really getting in tune with that, focusing your energy and your work on that, learning, that you feel, more tired at this point in the moon cycle or more awake at this. Really tuning in to the moon cycle is so powerful and so healing because our ancestors naturally did that. We were outside at night, we observed the moon without any lights, and we really were in tune with her. And now it's harder to be that way. I know where I live, there's a lot of street lights, a lot of light pollution, and there's so many trees. So I have to drive to see the full moon, but it's worth it, right? So having this deck is another way for you to tune in. It's a way for you to understand the moon. You can treat this as a mini book and really study the different moons and what they mean. So when you see on Instagram or Facebook an astrologer talk about a new moon in Gemini, from this, communication is key. Okay, so when I'm thinking about the new moon and what kind of prayer or ritual or meditation I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on that. Or a full moon in Cancer, a personal issue reaches solution, right? So you really start to learn the moons. And in fact, what you could do instead of using this as for card reading, is using it in that way, like looking at a calendar and finding where the moon will be all year, and mapping out and putting these in order, all the new moons, and then doing the same for all the full moons, and switching out the cards on your altar so that you are really getting in tune and being able to study that. So that's kind of the unconventional way to use the deck. And then, of course, the conventional way is to actually use it as readings. They are just all pictures of the moon. The artwork is very simple. It's, just all photos of the moon. There's not a whole lot of other symbols besides astrological symbols and colors. So it's really good for someone who's never read oracle cards before. It's not overwhelming. Sometimes decks have a lot going on, especially like a tarot deck. There's so many symbols that you can sit there and unpack the card for days. Whereas this is simple. Like you can see there's a moon, there's a lot of purple, there's butterflies, and there's growth. It says, have faith in your dreams, waxing crescent moon. Okay, very simple. And it's nice with this kind of a deck where they have the messages at the bottom because you don't actually really need the book all the time. And that's the positive, right? This deck is broken up like in the book in alphabetical order for the most part, but not really, right? So like the full moons, they're in kind of like that. There's a special moon card section, and then there's a full moon section, and then there's a new moon section. So it's not too hard to navigate. There are a couple readings. She gives you a 3-card spread, and then there's like for different ones, like how to do a new moon spread, like what to ask for is different than what you would do for a full moon. So for instance, card 1 for a new moon, what's rising up in me? Card 2, the main message of this new moon, and card 3, the final outcome. And then for a full moon 3-card spread, card 1, what's falling away and what do I need to forgive? Card 2, what's the illuminated full moon showing me? Card 3, what comes next? So it's really going to help you tune in with the moon, and that's amazing. And I think that's probably the best part of this deck. So I want you to stick around and I'll give you a reading. because I'm unsure when you're tuning into this video, I'm not going to do one of the moon spreads. I'm simply going to do the past, present, future spread, which is an old spread that comes with like every Universal and Rider-Waite deck. And there are variations of the 3-card spread. So we're going to look at your past, your present, and your future. And remember the way these work. Whenever you tune in, this message is for you. Past. Emotions are running high, supermoon. So that to me tells me in the past you went through something pretty heavy, pretty emotional, and just may have overwhelmed you. Your emotions just got the best of you. And that's something that's in the past. So that's not something you need to beat yourself up for. That's something you can let go of and forgive yourself for. Present, full moon, surrender to the divine. So I love this. They really go together. So in the past, you made some mistakes, maybe emotionally, or really let your emotions get the best of you. And now you're being asked to let that all go and surrender to God, right? Just let it go and just surrender the past and let yourself be forgiven and just really lean into the present moment and the future. Take time to breathe out. And that's a disseminating moon, sorry. So take time to breathe out. So you're being asked to release some past, surrender, and that means that it's time to continue your life taking those breaths, right? Breathing and thinking before you act, not letting those emotions get the best of you, just really letting yourself lean into life, be present, surrender, and don't forget to breathe.